I'm Al. I'm the ultimate backyard wrench head because this is my garage.
I'm Norm, and I'm a badass backyard wrench head.
I'm Rock, and I'm a backyard wrench head.
In today's episode of Backyard Wrench Heads, we're going to take you inside the garage of a great guy named Al, who by day is an occupational therapist for physically and emotionally challenged kids. But by night, him and his buddies together build the coolest cars on the street. Let's meet Al. This episode of Backyard Wrench Heads is brought to you by
Detroit Muscle, fueled by the pioneering automotive spirit, is geared up and ready to build your award-winning custom high-performance cars and engines on time and on budget. Hot Rod legends Danny Scott and Rick Dyer are on staff for your car design and horsepower needs. Detroit Muscle generates an excitement that is second to none. To see a complete line of the hottest branded apparel, car care products, and tour our facilities, visit DetroitMuscleUSA.com.
Al, this garage is incredible. This has got to be the envy of every wrench head watching.
Thanks, TK. Come on in. I'll show you around.
Well, Al, most people don't have enough room to park one car in their garage, let alone all of this. How many square footage do you have?
I've got about 2,000 square foot.
And these are all cars that you've fabbed in the past for people?
Yeah. I mean, this one's mine. That one I built for another guy.
I know that you do all the work yourself. You don't farm any of it out. Let's see some of the tools and things that you own.
Sure.
Well, Al, this is what I'm impressed with. You obviously make your own components on this lathe.
I mean, you look at street rods, there's a lot of different components that you just can't go off the shelf and buy.
You know, we visit a lot of garages, but nobody so far, all the garages we've been to, have their own bridge ports. I mean, digital readout. You do some precision work on this. Rotary table. I'm impressed.
You know, when you're making parts, as you can see on 37, you have to mill them down, get different levels, give it some, texture.
Right.
And that's what we do with this.
And then the selection of welders. Like I said, once again, we've been to multiple garages. I can't recall ever seeing so many different welders in one shop, obviously for different applications.
Yeah. I mean, MIG is fast, quick welds. TIG, if you want something really, really strong.
And aluminum, right.
Yeah,
yep.
You can do that, and aluminum welding.
Right.
Plasma cutter, you got to make a bracket for an alternator or something like that.
Ultra accurate, too, the plasma cutters
Yep.
are. The selection of jacks. Most people own one jack, maybe two jacks. What are you, moving a house with that?
Well, actually, the big one is to lift my truck when I got to work on my truck.
Oh, okay.
But the aluminum one is low because all the cars we typically built are pretty low.
You know, a lot of our garages that we visit, they job out the paint job. A lot of guys don't understand painting and body prep. You obviously do all your own painting.
You know, different guns with different nozzles and air caps, depending on what you're shooting.
Right.
If you're shooting a real heavy, thick primer, you got to have a big one.
Or detail. I noticed under your hood's a lot of detail. And you do all the body work yourself.
Yep.
Well, Al, once again, all the garages that we visit, no one has an English wheel. Obviously, this is for making filler panels. Give us a demonstration of how you roll metal on this.
You know, you've got the beveled wheel on the bottom, the flat wheel on top.
Different wheels for different angles.
Right.
Kind of looks like you're making a beer can.
Well, you know, there's that big 10-cent deposit in Michigan, so.
Well, Al, I know this baby's your pride and joy. The body lines are incredible. This is one amazing piece of art. Can I have the keys?
Well, I do remember back when I was about 8 or 9 years old, I took a lawnmower motor, stuck it on the back of an old fire chief's pedal car, and I'm still alive to talk about it now. I do most of the work myself on the cars. Well, what I've built in this garage so far is 37 Dodge Business Coupe, street rod, 48 Anglia, 37 Ford, a 3-window coupe. I've done a 55 Coupe de Ville. I've done a couple pickup trucks for myself, a car hauler. I've done my Starliner.
And now, Ford proudly presents the most exciting Ford of a lifetime, the Starliner. Starliner, a car for those who want the ultimate in performance. Available in the Starliner is the Thunderbird Special V8 engine. Here's all the reserve power you'll ever need for safe, sure passing, plus extra responsiveness that makes the Starliner more fun to drive than any car you've ever driven before. The front tread is a full 5 feet wide, the same as the Thunderbird, for better cornering, better roadability. Rear leaf springs are extra long for a more stable ride. Brakes are 25% bigger, the biggest in the low-price field. You can identify the Starliner by its racy new swept-back roof, trademark of the performance car of 1960.
I have to be honest, I saw this car at a swap meet, had no intentions of ever owning a 60 Ford. Didn't really know what a 60 Ford was, what it looked like. But I saw this car, I saw the body lines, you know, the fins, the first year for a fastback roof, those kinds of things. And I just fell in love with this thing, and I had to have one. My very first car was a red 1965 Buick GS 401 2-speed. The thing would go 60 miles an hour in first gear. I got in a little bit of trouble with that car. But the current project that we're working on in the garage is a 37 Ford pickup. We're going to put a 351 Lightning motor in it, overdrive transmission. All the openings like the deck lid and a hood are all going to be electronic opening. No door handles. It's shaved, it's chopped, it's channeled. We fabricate a lot of the stuff that we need for street rods and cars that we make. My friends Rock and Norm, you know, they help fabricate pieces. Norm's a great designer, engineer. Rock pretty much puts his hands into just about everything to help fabricate whatever part we need to have, especially like ornaments and that kind of thing on the street rods. You can't find different kinds of ornaments to put on the dash, the doors, the engine panels, stuff like that, the grills. You really need to make that kind of stuff yourself.
This car is a 1937 Minotti's. It was the last Minotti body made. I got it back in about 99, 2000. We let it set for about a year while it normalized, and we started to work on it at a slow pace. One day I realized that we were in the process of building a car that could probably compete for the Riddler Award. So last year we put it into Autorama, finished runner-up to the car that won the Riddler Award. We unfortunately were both in the same class. But when you finish second place to a $2.4 million car, that's pretty good company. The guy who built that car, his name is Troy Trepanier, does very, very nice work out of Chicago. He got up on the stage and he started to thank the people, and he wanted to recognize his crew. Well, when he had them stand up, there were about 18 of them that stood up and said, "Hey, yeah, here we are." I didn't get a chance to recognize my crew, and even if I would have, they wouldn't have stood up, because there's only 3 of us.
The current project that we're working on is a 37 Ford truck. It's all fiberglass, produced by Wild Rods out of Quebec. We've come up with a few unique designs, I think, things that are different you don't see on everyday cars, even some high-dollar street rods. We have some other emblems and things like that I've kind of designed in my head. I like the winged sort of appliques, and so I kind of took that from the outside to the inside of the car. We did a lot of work on the frame because originally it was set up for a small block Chevy and a Chevy transmission. I worked for Ford for 30 years, so I'm a Ford person. I want to put a Ford motor in it and a Ford trans. So we had to do some pretty extensive modifications to the frame, but it all worked out fine.
Oh, that's right. Did you say sh**?
I did. I said sh**. I think you can say sh**.
I can.
Three good pals named No Rock and Al. They all had to drive to build their own rides. Nothing like friends to get the job done, but even hard work requires some fun. Building these cars the best they said. That's why we call them backyard wrench heads. Backyard wrench heads. Backyard wrench heads. If you want to submit your garage, visit us at backyardwrenchheads.com. What's in your garage?